Helicopter parent is a term of a parent that's not only overly attentive, but overly fearful of their child's experiences and problems, especially those that happen outside of the home, like school, for instance. They are named so because they are like helicopters hovering over every aspect of their child's life. This is the definition of helicopter parents that comes to us from Wikipedia, the source of all knowledge. So I saw this topic come up in our Facebook group, Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk, and it really made me think about those parents that email 6 or 7 times a day. They show up to the school unannounced. They call you in the middle of class and want you to call them back right away. They go over your graded papers with a fine-tooth comb and come in and start nitpicking, and especially when that happens after the semester or the marking period's already done, wondering what they could do to fix what has already happened. It can all be very stressful, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Let's go. I want to first make a distinction here between helicopter parents and involved parents. Now, what I'm not talking about is just because parents call you or email you or even push back about some of the grades that you have, right? That is different to me. And that's actually something that I want. What I'm not looking to be is right all the time. I'm looking to cooperate with folks and have this sort of community of individuals made up of parents and guardians, teachers, students, that all kind of surround individuals or groups of students that are going to raise them up, that all have this singular image in mind of what's best for the student. The distinction I'm trying to make here, and I'm really trying to do this without necessarily even labeling parents, is that helicopter parents are folks that just seem to do too much, and they're doing it for their own benefit or just so their kid can like the grade, get the acknowledgement, and not so their kid is necessarily learning. Or they're parents that are just always looking for a fight. So 3 ideas here that I think are, if not going to solve this completely, because there are a lot of variables here, I think these 3 ideas are going to drastically move the needle in the right direction so we can stop being stressed, stop arguing with students, get on the same page, and start on that road to success for your students. So number 1 is helping parents reframe the situation. Now, I would argue that probably before we help parents reframe the situation, we need to make sure that we're reframing the situation. What I'm never trying to be in an argument or in a conversation or in a discussion or in a conference is just be right. I need to remember that education's only ever about students and that student success is my primary concern. And so when I walk into a conference like that, it takes me a little bit off defense because now I know what I'm fighting for, and that is to help this kid win. So how do we help parents reframe the situation? I think a lot of parents that I've witnessed come in to a conference or on a phone call or in an email think that you are out to get their student. Showing up to meetings, taking out the earrings, taking off the rings, and they're ready to just brawl. And I want to immediately help switch that mindset. This is why before I even start talking about anything else in an email, a conference, a phone call, any of these communications that we have with parents is, I say, before we even get started, may I really quickly say that I'm so thankful that you reached out. Your student success is the number 1 thing that is important to me. And I'm looking forward to talking about whatever this is today, whatever X is, so we can help your student get on the right track or remedy the situation or find the help that they need, whatever that is. And this does a couple of things. 1, again, it puts me on offense instead of defense. I'm not here to defend myself, to defend my actions. I'm not here to put up with whatever a parent is showing up with. It also ensures that there is no doubt as to where I'm coming from as a teacher. Now, I can't help if a parent believes that or not, but what I want to do is state my intentions and say what I'm about. It's no different than at the beginning of the school year when I tell the students how excited I am to be here. It's no different than when I really care about a student that I tell them that if a class is my favorite class that I tell them. There's a quote by somebody important that said something like, the worst thing that can happen in communication is thinking that it happened, or something like that. As I'm editing this video, I realize that is not even close to the right quote. Here's the right quote. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that has taken place. And that important person was George Bernard Shaw. And the idea there is that we often think we're communicating through our eyes or through our feelings or through our actions, but we're not always. Sometimes we have to tell people right to their face what we're thinking and feeling, where we're coming from, what our goal is, so that there is no confusion as to what we're doing here. Now, does this work? I'm telling you that in my experience, I have had some heated parents come into a meeting. And when I start like that, and then I end the meeting like that, you can see they thought they were coming in for a fist fight, and what they got was someone who was not only willing to have the conversation, but thankful that we were having this conversation and that their kid is the primary concern. It changes things. Number 2 is be prepared. Now, look, I'm going to tell you all, this takes a little bit of confidence, but I think being a great teacher takes confidence. The only way you gain confidence in this area is by doing it a lot. If a parent calls me and it's in the middle of my day, or they email me and they want an immediate return and they keep sending emails until I email them back, or a parent shows up at the school or my classroom, which has really happened. Parents just walking in the door trying to pick a fight while I'm in the middle of like teaching a class. I just don't take the bait. What I do is kindly and respectfully respond to an email, a phone call, a show up, letting them know thank you so much for reaching out, and that I will get back to you within the next 24 hours, by the end of the school day, by tomorrow morning. I let them know what that time frame is going to look like. And this does a couple of things. One, it allows folks to cool down. As an educator, you could be in the middle of 100 things. And so if I'm talking to kids and I'm grading things and I had to run to the printer real quick and I'm pulling things back, and all of a sudden a parent either calls me or shows up at the school and wants to have a conversation right now, this is not the time. I need to be in the right mind frame. And I want you to be a little bit calmer. Dealing with someone like in the heat of passion is dangerous and it's a little bit scary. So I want to create the space that we can enter into this where we're both feeling a little bit more even, emotionally anyway. This also allows me to prepare things like, I need to pull grades. Do I need to look at grades again? Do I have to look at the issue that a parent has? So one of the things I'll ask initially, actually, when I tell them what time we can speak, is I will ask what this is in regards to, because I want to be able to look at that again and be in the know when they're asking me something. If I teach 150 students a year, I don't always have that comment from that assessment that we took last week that your kid just showed to you. I don't remember what I said or did there. This also allows you to do things that are important, like bring in case managers or social workers or other folks that might need to be in this meeting legally, that I don't want to leave them out. So I need to create a time and a space and get everyone in the room that's going to be there to be able to help the kid. I also want to have a plan. So I know that folks are going to, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but folks typically focus on what happened, and what I want to focus on is where we're going. And so I want to be able to have a plan for how their student can rebound from this, how they can catch up, what work they can do, what we can change going forward. I want to be able to formulate that plan, but that's my next point. The third thing here is I think doing this is not pushing parents off, but it's rather communicating to parents that what is happening right now with you, with your student, with me, is so important that it deserves my full attention. I want to give you the time, energy, and effort that is needed. And right now in the hallway, right now on the phone in the middle of the class, sending a quick email back so that I know that you understand what happened and blah, blah, blah. I don't want to rush it. I want to go into it, give you the time, the space, the energy to have the full conversation, to come up with the full plan, and to really work something out. And my last kind of sub point under this big point of being prepared is it sets the tone going forward. People treat you the way you teach them to treat you. And if I set the tone that parents can just show up to my classroom, can send me 10 angry emails and start emailing the principal, can just start blowing up my phone in the middle of class, and that's not what I want or what works, I'm going to lose. I have to let folks know that this is how I roll. This is the best way to get a hold of me. This is the best way to get my attention. This is what I'm willing to do. But I can do that from a place of being cool, calm, and collected. I'm keeping proper boundaries, and I'm showing parents how to get the best from me. All right, 3, and I alluded to this, is I want to move the conversation from what happened to what is possible. And I made a course for this, a mini course, you can check it below. It's called That One Kid, and it is basically what do you do with that one student? And one of the things I talk about in there is creating this menu of success. And if you're interested in that, if this is something you feel like you need even more resources for, I'm gonna have that linked in the description below. But for the purposes of this video, what I'm talking about is, 1, having a plan of how you can help. What help already exists? I find that a lot of times parents don't know the help that I already offer. They don't know that I'm available before school, during lunch, twice a day, and after school every single day but Friday. They don't know that if your child didn't do well on assessment, whether they got a 95 or a 5, they can show up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of the next week during lunch, before school, or after school to retake an assessment. They don't know why I don't take late work. They don't know how to best get a hold of me. They don't know that my grades are always up to date every week by end of day on Friday. And that to top it off, their student brings home a student reflection sheet every single Friday that maybe they just haven't seen for the last 8 weeks. What I'm trying to do is show a parent all the help features that already exist, just so that they know. Second thing I want to talk about is, what can we do for their student, or what can their student do to do better in class? So what does studying actually look like? What does showing up to class prepared look like? What does being an attentive and an engaged member of our classroom look like? And I try to set the bar low enough that it doesn't seem undoable. So if your kid's never studying at night, maybe they don't know how to study. So here's how you study for this. Or come in after school every day for 10 minutes and study with me, and I guarantee you get a better grade on the test on Friday. Check in with me every single day after school to just say,
yo, Reynolds, what was homework again? Or
take a picture of the homework board, or just check in, or email me before the end of the day. Whatever it is, these are things that your student can do that are going to help them move forward and help themselves. And my other sub point here is, how do I best communicate with you? So many of you know that the phone numbers that are in the school's computer system don't work, right? That was like 6 numbers ago. A lot of you know that parents don't check email, right? That the email that you send home is the same one that all the spam emails come to and just gets lost in the sauce. Or I'm always slightly suspicious when someone still has a Hotmail address and it's like yourgirl84@hotmail.com. is probably not an email you're still checking. Anyway, I like to tell parents all of the different ways that they can follow up for students. So whether that's, I have a WhatsApp that I send things home on, I send things home through email, I send things home on paper. So my student reflections are a paper document that if your student is failing class, they should be getting that signed every week anyway and bringing it in on Monday signed. I let them know that upcoming assignments are in PowerSchool before it even happens, with the due date on there, that my Google Classroom is so set up. I want folks to know where they can find out information, and then I want to find out what is the best way for me to communicate this with you. So a small tip here is, especially if you're dealing with folks that are not particularly tech savvy, or you have grandparents that are raising kids that don't know all the bells and whistles of Google Classroom or how to use PowerSchool, and they try to find out things through their kid. I've sat there before and helped you download the app and get you signed in, and here's all the classes, and here's how you get the notifications, and this is what that's going to look like. I don't know why that sign was flashing back there, but moving on. That is an extra step that I've done in conferences, but it works. It helps because then folks know how to get that information. And lastly, I want to let folks know how often I communicate. If you email me, I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. That if you call me, I try to get back to you by the end of the day. I let them know that I'm not available at nights or on the weekends because I have a family also, and I need to give my kids as much time, if not more, than I give everybody else's kid in the world. This is a way of putting folks in the know so they don't email me on a Friday afternoon and wonder why it took me until Monday afternoon to get back to them. It's not because you're not important. It's just because I have other priorities in my life as well. But I will get back to you as soon as possible to try and help your student to be who they were meant to be. So quickly, I want to speak to, so what do you do with all of this if a parent comes back to you again and is aggravated? I think of all of this information as sort of a flow chart. So if a parent is aggravated that their student failed a test, no problem. They can come in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday the following week, before school, during lunch, or after school to make up that assessment, or to retake it if they didn't get the grade that they liked the first time. If your student missed an assignment, they have as many days as they missed school to make up that assignment, unless we have a conversation ahead of time, which of course we can then design a time frame that's going to actually work for your student, because I know they have 8 other classes that they missed today, and I don't want this to be a burden on them. That if parents feel like I'm not communicating enough, I tell them, well, have you gotten the student reflection went home the other day that the grades were updated in PowerSchool, that Google Classroom has been regularly updated so your student knew that the assessment was coming up, they knew what the grade was, they just didn't communicate it to you. I'm running folks through the flowchart of all of these things. I know it sucks to have to repeat stuff, but guess what? Leaders are repeaters, and you're gonna have to say things many times sometimes to certain parents until they get that. But even that repeating, I try and do in the same cool, calm, and collected manner that I did all of this other stuff. in. I do have a video coming out about manipulative students because I think that this is one of those moments where students can manipulate parents. They'll try to manipulate you. They try and take things out of context and throw you under the bus and all this other stuff. That video is coming probably in the new year. If you do need more help with this, there is a workshop in the description below, and it focuses on that one kid and helps you figure out how to deal with the kid and the parents, and it has the resources. That is below. Gang, don't forget to like and subscribe. It helps us to get to more people that are getting frustrated by more teachers and parents. So for the sake of your colleagues from all over the world, just hit the like, subscribe button. That's it for this time, gang. Peace. This thing's gonna drive me bonkers.